days together on our journey to 2024. And this is the Me Time. This is the Me Time sessions. And through these sessions, we will be speaking to different experts and coaches and people who have a focus on different areas that will be useful for all of us. And our first one is going to be a goal setting masterclass. So I am Elvina Quayson. I'm the founder of CESA for Life. CESA means change in the Akan, which is a core language in Ghana, in my language, Fanti. And CESA for Life came to me when I was living in Ghana for a while, in my 30s, which seems quite a while ago now. And just realizing that there was consistent change in life and there didn't seem to be anywhere that you could go to find those answers, get that guidance, help you with the many, many, many transitions and challenges that come our way as we go through the world. And so CESA for Life was born out of that. And looking at the 100 days idea came out from looking at how presidents and leaders and people in new senior roles are often regarded in terms of how are they approaching their new areas of work and how are they laying the foundation for the changes that they say they want to bring. And so looking at how we can utilize the same idea and take 100 days and plan out how we want the future to be. So as much as we're looking at 100 days to 2024, we're actually really looking at 100 days to how do we want the remaining future we have. Remaining sounds kind of dark. How do we want our robust future to look as we go forward? So this is where the 100 days idea came from. And so we have about an hour together, give or take some of the struggles we've just faced. And I'm going to stop talking and introduce you to our guest for today, Miss Griselda Togobo, Mrs. Madame Griselda Togobo, in fact. And Griselda, sorry, my screen is just not playing ball with me today. Griselda is the CEO of ForwardLadies.com, which is a women's professional development company, of which I am also a member. And she has the ambition to advance female leadership for an equitable and sustainable future for the next generation. I think I would be comfortable to go forward to say that this is probably the idea at the beginning, but over the years, there has been so much evidence of the impact Griselda has had on female leadership within the UK and beyond. Really, I'm seeing some interesting work coming out of in Africa, out of the continent, and it's just really admirable and inspiring. I'm getting all my words mixed up today to watch. Griselda is also a consultant, an accountant, and an author. I have read her first book, which was How to Become an Expert. And it's a nice, concise book, and it just gives you exactly what you need. And if you follow the steps, it will definitely help elevate. And this was way before all of the swath of information across social media. So this is a nice, compact book that gives you exactly what you need in one place. Griselda, thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure.
Elvina, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the warm welcome. And it's lovely to see you all. It's a small group, so I don't mind making it very intimate. So if you don't mind putting your cameras on so we can have a chat, you can ask me questions. It's not a presentation. I'm not here to talk at you. I'm here to have a conversation. So if you want to turn your cameras on, I'm more than happy for you to do that. We can go around the room and see who is in the room and why you've joined the call, because I know it's a Friday night. It's a peak time of the night. And some of us are ready for bed, because we've had a long week. So if you want to be part of the conversation, it's absolutely fine with me. As Elvina said, I've known Elvina for a long time, and she and I have both been through many iterations. over the years. So I started my career as a chartered accountant with Deloitte and Touche. I was an engineer before that. And then when I had a child, I left corporate, started my own business. I've been running my own business now for 13 years. Can you believe that? 13 years. In between, I had 2 children. I'm married to a very busy hospital doctor, and our lives are crazy. I have a lot of help. I have a PA, and I have a business here in the UK and a business in Ghana. I'm originally from Ghana, in case you haven't picked up from the accent. I'm very proud Ghanaian from the Volta region. And so that's really been my journey. So the reason why I am here and Elvina has invited me to do this, it's not even because of the Forward Ladies Cup, even though that's, I see Elvina every day when we have our Women's Power Hour and we work together for an hour. But the reason why she's invited me here is to talk about the goal setting masterclass. So a few years ago, I was looking for a planner. I was looking for a diary because I was using my phone to manage my life, and it simply wasn't working. Things were falling through the cracks. I was overweight. I wasn't feeling good. I looked successful. I was traveling. I had clients overseas in the US, in Europe, in Africa. But I didn't feel good. I was tired. Every Friday night, I used to crash. And I just wanted to find a way to manage my life. The 2 kids and their activities, my husband and his schedule, he works shifts, so night and day, weekends sometimes. And 2 businesses, just a lot. And I needed a solution that worked, and I couldn't find one. So I created one, as we women tend to do. I'm sure there are some guys on the call, even though I can't see any. I think we're all women. So as we tend to do, when faced with a problem, you go into solution mode and you think, what can I do? So I went to all the stationery shops, and I went looking for planners, bought a bunch of planners. Yes.
Okay. I want you to follow on with this, but I want us to talk first a bit and then build to where you're taking us, because I want people to then see how it sits within each other.
Okay.
So what I would like to do is begin by asking you a few questions to help us to get our minds in the space, and then have some of the questions asked, see some of the ways that we explore and approach goals, and then look at some of the tools and resources and things that are available to help us really plow forward with making these things happen. So I'm going to go straight in with, what is the biggest mistake a person makes when setting goals?
So
Yes.
in my opinion, people don't set goals. People say things, people wish for things, people like to have things, but from what I have noticed, people don't properly set goals. They don't sit down and reflect them right. They don't have SMART goals. They don't have timelines on it. And most importantly, there is no system in place to help them meet their goals. So that whole planning process is in there. And I think that's the biggest mistake that people make. I myself made that for a long time. I used to start each January with resolutions. And then I used to start with a list of things I thought I wanted. And then gradually I realized that actually for you to achieve, you needed a proper system, and you needed to do the planning rigorously, like you would for a business, like you would for something more important than just sitting around drinking wine and saying, oh, this is what I think I want to do.
Which is perfect. So then it leads us nicely into, so what is the right way to set goals, to make goals, to create goals?
So there are many ways to do that. I am going to share my process for setting goals. I believe before you set goals, it's good to reflect, because sometimes we are chasing the next high, we are chasing the next achievement. But also I've realized in life that you can never achieve all your goals. If you set them properly, you can never be at a point where you finished. So you need to get into the habit of looking back, reflecting, and seeing how far you've come. So to start reflecting for the next 100 days, I will start by looking at the last 265 days. So for the year 2023, what have I achieved? What did I get right? What was a bit challenging? What could I have done better? What needs to start? What needs to stop? Who are the people who helped me? What are the lessons that I've learned? I'll go through all of that for the full year. And then I would look forward and say, right, these are the things that work. These are the things that didn't work. This is what I need to do better next year if I want to change a behavior that is linked to a goal. So I never really ask people to focus on a goal. I want a new house, a goal. I want a new car. But if you want a new house, a new car, what behaviors that somebody who has a new car, a new house, retires at 50, what behaviors do they put in place and focus on the behavior rather than the goal?
Okay. And so then after the reflecting.
Yeah, so after reflecting, you look forward, you reflect, you celebrate your wins, you document all that happened. And I've designed a planner to do that. So you don't need to make all of this out. Every month in my planner, there's a page that goes to the reflection phase. I didn't want to bring presentations this evening because it's a Friday evening. And I just thought it's the kind of evening where you relax and listen and have a chat. So at the end of the month, you would look back and you say, what are my achievements from the last month? What are my achievements from the last 3 months? What are my achievements from the last 6 months? And you will pick, you can list them all, but you focus on the top 3 because the brain only remembers 3 things anyway. That's what psychologists tell us. So anytime you're doing things, you focus on the rule of 3. So once I'm really clear on what my achievements are, something we don't do, we think we know what we've achieved, but I would challenge you to be more specific and more detailed on that. And then under those 3, I would have, how did I achieve this? Who helped me? What practice did I have in place? What groups did I use to support me? And was there a particular tool? Was there a particular system I used that helped me? So I would list those down as well. And then I'll look at my motivations. Why do I want to change that? What made me stick to this goal? What made me not stick to this goal? I'll list those 3 as well. And then the lessons learned. So it's a very simple process, 3, 3, 3, 3. What am I celebrating? Top 3. How did I celebrate them? Top 3. Who or what motivated me? Top 3. And what lessons have I learned? So you do that for the period you're trying to review before you look forward. And then when you look forward, you look at what you want to achieve in the next month or the next quarter or the next 6 months or the next year. You break it down because if you just have a big goal, it's difficult to eat an elephant, as they say. So you start by taking one tiny step, one tiny mouthful. And so you need to break things down. So for example, if I wanted to purchase a house, which I have done, mortgage-free, which I have done, which was a goal at a point I never imagined I would ever do. And the way I started was not to look at the house, but to look at what does somebody have to do to get this amount of money cash-free in their bank account so they can do that. And then I started doing that every single month with the earnings I was making. And also my motivation being the goal I had at the end of it meant that the way I approached my business and my sales and my team was entirely different.
Griselda, can I ask, as you were doing that process, did you do it on your own, or did you look at where you'd get support from or get advice or information, or what then added into the steps? Because it's really interesting to look at it like that, as you say, not eating the whole elephant.
Yes, I think it depends on the kind of person you are. If you do this regularly, you can do it on your own. So I do this religiously every day. Every day, I look at my priorities and how they're linked to my goal. I write them down. I apply an hourly rule to my day. My day is chunked up into hours. And that is how I spend my time every single day. So I have gotten into the mindset of breaking things down. If you're new to this and you find yourself struggling, it's good to pair yourself up with a friend, and then you interview each other, you coach each other, and go through the questions together. You can even do it in bigger groups if there's trust. But I find that some of the things we really want, we are not yet ready to share. And so if you're not in the space to share, You don't have to share. You just need to write it down. It's just as powerful to write it down as it is to tell somebody else.
So I was thinking, like, okay, so you're sitting there at home and you decide, I want to buy a home at this period of time just with cash.
Yes.
You've never done it before.
Yeah.
So then you break it into the chunks and you realize that there are some gaps in your knowledge and your ability and so on and so forth. So then within your goal setting steps, you would then, I guess, factor in accountant or mortgage broker or what have you. And so it helps to.
So that particular goal, it's not even a mortgage broker because I did not want to buy with mortgage. I wanted to buy with cash. And so how do I make the cash? Is by sales. And how do I get the sales? Is by targeting a certain kind of client and making sure that I was approaching my sales process, not from how I was feeling in the day, but with a process. And so in my planner, there's a habit tracker. And every day I give myself a sales target. So I don't care whether I made 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. What I care about is that I send those emails every single day. And I made those phone calls every single day. So I try and distance myself from the result, because what I have found, using weight loss as an example, is that when you stand on the scale and the scale isn't shifting, you think it's not working. So you then decide to stop. You get really demotivated. But if you focus on the habit, as I have done now, that I walk every day, I lift, I skip, I dance, I do something every day, the skill doesn't matter, but I'm building the habit. So it's a completely different approach to how people would approach goals. You identify what you need to do, and you create a habit through that, and you stick to that habit. Don't worry about the result. The result will happen if you identify the right habits and stick to them. So I sold more, I slammed my sales goals, I made a lot of money, I took my cash, I bought my house. Simples.
Excellent.
It was difficult. I felt all the feels I normally feel, but because I wasn't focused on, oh my God, they hate me. Oh my God, they don't like me. Oh my God, I only made 5,000. Oh my God, I didn't make any. Because I was focused on the doing, and you will see when we have our power hour, when we started, nobody turns up, and we've been doing this for months and nobody turns up. If I was looking at just the numbers, I wouldn't be doing it. But I'm not looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the habit. So if you have a goal, and I'm sure everybody here has a goal for the rest of the year is a fantastic period to try what I'm talking about, to try and build some habits in, because this is the biggest challenge people face. It's really sexy and exciting to start off saying, this is what I want to do in 100 years, 200 years, 1 year. But when it comes to sticking to it day in and day out, that's where it becomes really difficult, and it's boring. It's boring. It's boring, but that's why you need to show up and just keep doing it, no matter how you're feeling. You're muted.
Yeah. So Griselda, is it boring then?
It is boring, right? It is boring. This is why I think people are expecting that every moment in life is full of, like, I don't want to use orgasmic. It's not. Life is, it's mundane for 90% of the time. And then 10% of the time, you have all the sparks, but you have to learn to stick to the things you need to do that 90% of the time. But I think because of the world we are living now, and in social media, in being able to see all of people's supposedly successful lives, we are underestimating just how much time and effort it takes to achieve things. But if you take that out, just run your own race, head down on your habit, you'll be amazed. You won't get distracted. Just show up consistently for yourself. Things will go wrong. You keep showing up. That's the hardest bit. The goal setting is even easy. It's that middle bit.
So in that the goal setting bit being easy, as you say, can you make wrong goals? Can you create goals that are not going to help you just in the fact of how they've been crafted?
Yeah, you can have meaningless goals. That's when you're basing your goals on external factors. So this is what people do in their 20s. This is what people do in their 30s. This is what women do in their 40s. And so you're looking at your timeline versus what the average person does. And you're thinking, oh, I'm not meeting these goals, so I'm falling behind. But if you are able to look inwards and really come at goal setting from what is meaningful to you, you find that your goals are sweeter when you achieve them and you burn out less. So I gave an example at the start that I was traveling and on the surface, it looked really good. And I was burnt out. I was really tired. I used to call my husband a lot because we were both tired. And it was just who are you trying to impress? So I gave up my office before COVID. I gave up my office. I let my staff go. I moved my things so we bought a new house, moved the things home, started working from home before COVID. And I made more money doing less, taking my kids to school, not showing my face everywhere, chasing everybody, but just really being clear on what I wanted to do was to get the house and pay for it cash as part of my retirement planning. And so now people tell me, we don't see a lot of you. Yes, because I'm very focused on what I'm doing. My goals are not being dictated by what the next person is doing. And it's easier said than done because I still do go online. It normally happens when I go online and I just think, oof, am I where I need to be? I've been running my business 13 years. Then I need to, take a moment to just take a chill pill and reflect and go back to my planner. And, this is where you're going. That person is going, to Greece every year for holiday. I am going where I'm going. It's a different destination. And so you constantly have to remind yourself of that. But that's why when you take your time and go through the process, it's okay to change your goals as well. But again, if you think of your life, and one of the exercises I do when I do the masterclass is to ask you to look at the end of your life. And this year, unfortunately, I've lost a lot of friends to cancer. So I've been at a lot of funerals where they've read, their life's work, and nobody mentioned that they had 5 houses or they had this and that. People just mentioned the relationships they had with them, how amazing they were, how they made time for people. And I ask people to write that at the end of your life, what do you want to have? And just forget all the other things because it's noise. They all don't matter.
Yeah, I've done that obituary exercise. It is quite interesting to sit there, and obviously in my mind I'm living to like 80, 90, so there's a lot to think about. But what do I want to achieve, and who do I want around me, and all of those kind of things. So if you want to do some real distance goal setting, then that is an excellent way of getting your mind into the future. So yeah, it's a good exercise. Thanks.
But if you chase what everybody else is doing, you will end up being very unhappy.
And that's the key message right there.
Yes, you'll be very unhappy. I'm around, and I know everybody on the call is probably around some wealthy people, but I'm around some pretty wealthy people, and I can tell you, it's not all that. Money isn't all that. It's good because you don't have to worry about stuff. But when you have it, it doesn't make you happy in like the way you think. You wake up and you have no problem. They still have a lot of problems. Health problems, relationship problems. They have everything, except they don't worry about the bill and where they're going on holiday. But it's all the same. So, it's being around people like that also made me realize that actually, and I had mentors and coaches as well who have retired very successful. And sometimes I've said, oh, I'm going to get a nanny. I'm going to put my kids in private school, nursery, boarding school. I'm going to work. And they challenge me on that. Why are you trying to do that? What are you trying to prove? We've done that. We are at the other end. And this is what we can tell you. If you can achieve what we achieved, doing it differently, why don't you try that? So I know you didn't come here for me to preach at you tonight,
But no, it's all linked. So looking at seeing things from your own terms. So when you're reflecting on your goals, really thinking about who are these goals for? Are they for you and what you want your life to be, or are they from your parents or society or what have you, what have you? So no, that's really helpful. So the key points I've picked up so far is taking time to reflect, and then looking at your end goal from that reflection process, and then taking the end goal and breaking it down into bite-sized chunks, into steps, towards success, if you like, towards achieving those goals. And then also looking at what are the habits that need to be formed to enable you to be able to achieve those goals, and seeing where we go from there. Do we have any questions so far, or any areas that people want a bit more information on or clarity? And we can definitely do that. You can either unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can pop something into the chat area. That's also available if you want to just pop a question in there. Okay, so then my next question, while people are thinking about, yep, I've given you a second, okay, is how can we set ourselves up? And we've talked about it a bit. So if you were putting it into steps, how can we set ourselves up to win and achieve our goals? You've mentioned your goal planner, which we'll talk a bit more about later. You've just touched upon mentors and coaches, which is kind of what I was wanting to ask you about earlier on. So what are some of the key steps and pillars and positioning that we can put ourselves in to make our goals work?
Right. So I want to keep it really simple, right? So you've set your goals. The way you're going to not achieve your goals is lack of accountability. If there's nobody at the end of the phone, on the pitch in the gym waiting for you, if there isn't an appointment with someone for you to show up, life gets in the way. So one of the principles I teach is around Murphy's rule. So Murphy will show up. Murphy's law is that anything that will go wrong will always go wrong. And Elvina saw that today. When things can go wrong, they do go wrong. And it's not that you're jinxed, and it's not that life is bad. It's just the way it is. It's a price you pay. I call it the taxes we pay for having a good life. Once in a while, the tax is drawn. So something will go wrong. So what you have to think about is, how can I make sure that if I'm feeling poorly, if I'm not feeling great, if somebody dies. 2 years ago, I lost my mom. And it was very hard. And the day after I lost it, I had to go work. So it's thinking about if these things go wrong, do I have the support around me to still function? And I feel that because sometimes we don't want things to go wrong, we don't think about that because we don't want to jinx it. But it's life, it will happen. So just think, I'm trying to do this. Yes, if I get it with no issues, that's amazing. But if it doesn't happen, what will I do? And just think through that. And so mentally, it doesn't change your plan, but it just puts you in a place mentally where you're more resilient. And all this approach I'm coming at, the approach I use for my life and for planning is really based in Stoicism. So the fact that life is what it is, and you just deal with it as it comes. It's not a bed of roses. So plan for the inevitable, prepare for obstacles, and then you strategize. So I've said, I've got my plan in place, habits I need to achieve. And now I've got my habits I need to apply. What strategy am I going to use to make sure that I'm able to physically generate this lump amount of money? And for everyone on the call, it will be different. And so you just have an understanding of that. and then you apply that, and I say you act with confidence, you execute. There's no need, no point having a book full of ideas and never going out and actually doing it. If you want to start a business, just go do it. If it fails, you do another one. My first business was called Awovi Consulting. Some Asian websites that sells porn got hold of my domain. And that was the end of that one. Full stop.
Oh dear. That must have been confusing for your customers.
That was the end of that. So, these things happen. You move on. So you do it. It works. Brilliant. I think the quote I had yesterday was, if you spill, when you don't cry over spilled milk, go get another glass. And that's the mindset you really have to do, but just go for it. Too many people worry about doing it perfectly. You can't plan perfectly because there are some things that only become evident as you execute. And so execute, get it wrong, get people around you who know more and can help you do it better. Okay. And if your resources are not enabling you to find the best of the best to help you do it, go where your resource can help you get what you can get and do it with whatever you have. And just make progress, even if it's just one tiny little step. Progress is progress. Remember, you're not looking at the results, you're looking at the habits. So if I want to write a book, and so I wrote a book recently, Unstoppable Women. So my community is a community of women, and we have a fabulous awards program. It's in London this year. And I meet so many incredible people. And I just, sometimes I was just like, oh my God, you are so amazing. I've written about you guys, but I really want a resource where I can direct people to. And I decided to write this book. It took me forever to finish the book. I could not finish the book. Do you know how I finished it? By joining a community online who write. 8 a.m. every day during COVID, I joined to them, I sat down and I worked on the book 1 hour every day. And lo and behold, the book is published on Amazon. So you have to, it will go wrong. And the people in the book used to email me every time I asked, Griselda, when is the book going to get published? Have faith, I'm working on it. I lost my mom. The last thing I wanted to do was to finish a book. But in the end, I finished it. It took a bit longer, but I finished it. And so I really encourage you. It's not, if I was looking at the shame of not finishing the book, how big the book was, I would never have done it. But immediately I switched my focus to show up, write 500 words, 200 words, show up 8 a.m. every day, no matter how you feel, show up. Show up for yourself and just do it. It just snowballs over time, and you amass a body of work and ideas and content by just that regularity. And I think that's the hardest thing, the daily. My word for this year, so every year I have a word. Last year was unstoppable. This year it's daily. Just do it daily. 24 hours. How much time are you giving to Griselda, future Griselda? Just do it. Your health, your wealth, your finances, your family. I'm happily married, have been for 15 years. Nobody ever imagined I'll be married for this long, because the author was the most difficult person.
Oh no, that's harsh. But obviously the consistency, because that's the thing you hear a lot. Consistency is key. It doesn't matter how good you are, how brainy you are, how skilled you are, whatever you are. It's all about the consistency of your approach.
Yes.
So with whatever goal that we're setting, with whatever steps that we've said we have to do or want to do, it's consistency. I like what you were saying. I mean, weight loss is always on the list, or better health, better body health, or what have you. And so I have also embarked on this journey, and I've stopped looking at the scales, and I'm just getting into the habit of doing certain exercises regularly, eating a certain way regularly, and then just seeing what happens.
Yes.
And so far, I can see some angles. I can see some angles coming through. So the goal is definitely.
You look amazing. The most important thing is that you feel amazing inside. That's all that matters. You look amazing.
Thanks. I wasn't fishing, but everybody feel free to send the love in the chat. I will receive it, but I wasn't fishing, of course not. But this is really good. And so now I would invite you to show us your planner, some of what you were talking about, because one of the things I particularly like and find helpful is that part where it talks about your reflection, your achievements, and so on. And it does invite you to sit each month, people, each month, and reflect back and set your goals for the next month, and also see what you have or haven't done for the month gone past and the months gone past. So that's definitely key.
Yes.
And then, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go on, finish.
Yeah, and then that horrible bit that you've got about drinking water. I'm a terrible water drinker, but that just the little bits that trigger you, motivate you, whichever way, to help you keep pushing forward with the little tasks. So the planner definitely helps to do that. And whether it's the planner or some other structured way that you want to look at how you keep going back and reflecting on your goals, I definitely agree with Griselda in terms of writing them down and then breaking them down so that you can visibly see, you not only are you seeing the steps, but you also get to see your progress as you're working your way through those goals. So yeah.
So I know I keep saying the plan, and some people love planners, some people hate planners, but I invite you and I challenge you to look at things differently. So I read a couple of books that informed my approach. I read a book called The One Thing. Just you can go look for it, One Thing. And it's just the one thing you can do that makes everything else. It's like has a domino effect on everything else. I also read a book about morning routines, and then I read The Atomic Habits. So everything I'm doing is formed by that. And what I realized is that I had an app for meditation. I had an app, FitnessPal, for diet. And then I had, my journal, which I was trying to write in. And then I had my calendar, my phone. It was just not coordinating. I didn't stick to any one of them for any period of time. With the best of intentions, I just never stuck to it. But I also realized, as I said, that things needed to be done daily. So I needed to work on my priorities daily, not a to-do list. I used to start my day with a long list of to-dos. I don't have a to-do list anymore. I don't have a to-do list. I put things down in my planner on the time they need to be done. So I have a daily schedule, every day, daily. I have a daily schedule. It's undated, so you can start your year every time. Again, I find that people like to start their year in January, and then they like to start in, maybe September. I don't think it really matters. It's just when the inspiration hits you. So there are some things I started doing last year, October. I gave up alcohol, which I never thought I would. I gave up alcohol. It's been a year now. And I started it because there was a moment of reflection, and I thought, what if I just did not drink for a year? What would I feel like? Because I was tracking everything. I was tracking my diet. I was tracking my mood. So on the daily pages, there's a bit about the mood. How do you feel? Are you happy? Are you sad? Sometimes you wake up and you don't know what happens, but the day just goes a bit wonky. So I try and understand what may have contributed to that. And also the science tells us that when you're grateful, you're more resilient. So gratitude makes you resilient. And it also keeps you motivated because you're focusing on the things you've achieved and not on the things you haven't. So then it goes to show that you have to have gratitude as part of your daily practice. Otherwise, you get depressed. It's a fact. If you don't practice gratitude, you'll be a depressed person. So on my team, every Monday when we have our team meetings, everybody will go around, everyone says something they're grateful for. We do that. So every day in the planner, there are 3 things you can be grateful to. Yeah. So today, I can be grateful for a lady in Scotland who gave up an hour of her time for me to interview her for a program I'm doing. I didn't pay her. She just gave up her time. I did it. I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for Elvina for organizing this and getting me in front of 12 amazing new people. I haven't met before. And even the connection with Olivia, I've learned about Fathom, the app that can edit. I'm so grateful for that. And so when I start to think about all these things, it just makes my day sweet. I'm not as grumpy. I'm not as sad. I just wake up and I'm buzzing. And then there's a bit for lunch, dinner, snack, and drinking water. Again, I learned that I didn't need breakfast. I didn't know that before. I used to just chomp my way through things that weren't really agreeing with my body because I wasn't paying attention. I was eating dairy and gluten or all the stuff. It wasn't good for me. It gave me brain fog. Once I started writing it down and tracking that with my mood, I realized, oh, voila, I need to stop that. So I stopped. So in the morning, I do my morning routine. And sometimes it's listening to a Bible verse. Sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's yoga. But I do something every morning. Every afternoon, I step away from my office and go for a walk. And then in the evening, I wind down. Again, listen to something, calm my mind, pray, thank God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It just goes through all those processes. And then the one thing on the planner on the first page is that it focuses on my top 3 goals and priorities. So the goals I've set in January, every day I'm looking at my page and it's telling me, Griselda, that goal you set in January, and most people can't remember by the time it's March. What are you doing about that goal? So then buying my house cash, need to make my phone calls, need to do this, need to do, and I have it down. And then the other thing that's different about my daily plan, it starts from 5 a.m. Yeah, 5 a.m.
Are you like trying to tell us something about 5 a.m.? Also, though, I'm going to take this interruption. So there was a number of timing issues I can see, and we did start 15 minutes later. So I'm going to ask for your indulgence for 10 minutes. And then we will close, and this recording will be available because of the timing challenges that we've had, and I do want everybody to have access to the sharings from Griselda in this session. So if that's okay, we'll take an extra 10 minutes. Griselda, we've got about another 3 minutes of our own interaction with each other.
Okay. Yes. Well, I've said enough. If you want to check it out, check it out. It works for me. I'm on my second plan, my second big plan. And I feel amazing. And I just wish that for everyone. Obviously, you don't need a planner to do it, but if you're struggling, it's an idea worth trying. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. I have used the planner. I finished my first one. I am now in the process of ordering and waiting for my second one. And it definitely does help. You have to stick to it. You have to use it. The fact that it doesn't have dates helps because it makes you feel less like you're misbehaving. But I mean, it's not going to fill out itself or have you do it itself. But what we are able to do, thank you, Griselda. Can you see my screen, Griselda?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Okay, good, it's popped up. So if you are interested and want to find out more, you are able to get a 20% discount. This is something that I am gently persuading all my guests to have a little gift for those who attend our sessions so that you can have something to stay connected and to keep the momentum going. So thank you very much, Griselda, and please do think about this. I will share this with everybody. So don't worry about trying to copy it down or write it down, and we will be able to share a link with you as well. So do we have any questions for Griselda? Yes, we will share the link. Do we have any questions for Griselda? At the moment, everybody is very quiet this evening.
They're ready for bed.
No. Okay.
I think as people are joining, maybe we allow put my camera on. I think as people are joining, maybe we allow them to maybe ask any specific questions around goal setting.
Yes, of course.
That it would have started at 8:30 as opposed to 7:30.
Yeah. I will say though, thank you for coming at 8:30, those who got the time wrong, because I was sitting here at 8:30 my time, which is 7:30 your time if you're in the UK, thinking, where is everybody? It's just me and Griselda. And then you all slowly started to filter through. But if you do have any questions now, if there are any burning thoughts you have, please do feel free to share. Okay, so we have a question on how many goals. Okay, good. How many goals do you think is ideal to work on for the last 100 days of the year?
1.
Okay, that was a meaningful, profound answer. Can we get a little bit of detail?
I told you about the book, The One Thing. So what one thing could you do for the next 100 days that will make you feel amazing at the end of the year? If you're able to achieve that, you can layer it like an onion, layer it, but don't start off with lots of goals, because then you will get overwhelmed, you drop some of them and you lose motivation. And then you get to January or December, you won't feel like you've achieved anything. But if you took just one thing, you might not feel it's relating to your, people always want to have a goal that's materialistic. So for example, I told you I stopped drinking. I have done more work since I stopped drinking than when I used to drink and thought I was working so hard. So it's literally bought me back time. So like this Friday evening, I'm going to stay with my husband. So we normally have family Friday night, and the night is so long when you don't drink. So God, what did we used to do with all that time? You literally buy back hours of your life. So don't feel you have to have something that's buy a new car, move flat, or just pick some things in your mind that you know isn't serving you. It can be a habit, and just decide that I will not take this habit into the new year. And that's good. It will have an impact on something else that you did not even think was a problem you were trying to solve, but that problem will disappear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. All right, well, keep thinking about them. I'm gonna share some information with you. And so if you have a question, just put it in the chat and we can bounce back. Griselda, thank you so much. I was going to ask you for your top book. You've given us 2. So Atomic Habits and The One Thing. I've put them into the chat for people to remember. It will be in the next newsletter, along with information about Griselda and a link to this recording, and then some further information as well. But thank you for those books.
Yes.
So
one other book is the Miracle Morning. So for those of us who don't like waking up early, maybe to help you.
Is this what's going to try and get people up at 5 o'clock? I'm not even saying anything because I'm up at 5 o'clock. So I'm making noise on their behalf.
Club. It just talks about having a series of habits that really set you up for the day. I think we're not setting ourselves up to win, because sometimes we set, depending on what you do first thing, you wake up just not feeling great. But if you manage to incorporate some of these things into your habits, you find that because you feel great in the morning, you end up doing a lot more. You're just more productive, more positive. So the relationships you have as well feel better.
This is the truth. Thank you. Okay. All right. So thank you, Griselda. And so what is coming up next on our journey together? Okay. Yes. So what is coming up next is we will be having a session with Dr. Yvette Ankara, who is a transformational coach. And this will be on the 13th of October. It will be our next Me Time. And she will be discussing intentional action and how we can use this time linked to the question about how many goals. It's about really what can we do to make the goals we set really work for us. And so how do we set intentions around how we choose our plans, how we choose our pathway to success, what success even looks like. And so really looking forward to that conversation with Yvette. And then we also will be having a one-to-one check-ins. Check-in sessions will be taking place so that you can meet together and talk through what kind of goals you've already set. Are they robust enough? Are they SMART? And we'll talk about what SMART is for those who haven't been bombarded by that meaning in work or in any other element of your life. And looking at a workshop to really go from what are the varying areas in your life like, my favorite tool, the Wheel of Life, and having that help us identify perhaps what your key goal for the remainder of this year is, or a number of small goals that will help shift the pin a little bit on some other areas of your life. And so with through SESA and on this plan, this journey together, we have a plan of activity for working together for those who would like to join a community of people focused on achieving what they want to achieve for the remainder of this year. So there will be a fortnightly newsletter going out to everybody. If you're signed up, if you do not wish to receive the newsletter, you can simply unsubscribe. But it will have information that can help on this journey of making what you want to happen. And then there are more me time sessions coming up. We will be having one on relationships, on finance, on health, having a GP sit with us so they can go through some of the things that we should be thinking about as we get to this point of our lives. And health can sometimes take a back seat because we're so very busy. And then for those who want more particular support, who want to be part of a community of those who are focused and wanting to work together and support each other, there is the private LinkedIn community that will be set up, and that's where we'll be having the fortnightly check-ins. The recordings from these me time sessions will be placed generally inside that community. Today's one will be available openly because there was the whole timing mix up, and we're learning. I'm learning, so you know, we will improve as we go, as we learn the technologies. And then also within the Invest in Me side of things, you will receive free or discounted access to trainings and services as offered by our experts, and then the fortnightly check-ins within the private community with SESA. And so you'll receive this information following on from our session together. And I'm just really happy that we were here, that we've made it happen. This is our first day. We've got 99 to go. It sounds so weird, 99 days, and then we're in a whole other year. And it will not be this, was it New Year, same thing, not on our watch. So let's work together to see how we can improve and make things the way we would really love to see them going forward. So thank you very much. I'm going to click off now and see if there were any last questions or comments or clarifications that were being looked for. I am not. We are 1 minute over the extra 10 I did request, and you very kindly gave. And I hope you all have a really good evening and stay connected. Thank you very much, and thank you, Griselda, for your time.
Thank you.
I am grateful, my gratitude moment today. I'm grateful for Griselda, I'm grateful for all of you guys, and I'm grateful for Olivia and obliging to jump on as co-host as well. So thank you all very much. Oh wait, we've got 3 messages. Yes, thanks, and thanks. You are welcome.
Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.